I'm Darren Wagner, the founder of Morpheus Trading Group. We've been teaching traders over 23 years. And today I'm sitting down with Kenneth Rippetoe, one of our TradeQuest students who's been trading for over 20 years. Now, Kenneth was profitable early on in his trading career on Wall Street, but when he switched to futures trading about 8 years ago, he hit a wall and was break even year after year. But then something changed. And what he's going to share today are the specific things he did differently, stuff that you can start applying right away. So this is just two traders talking and having a chat. So let's bring them in. Hey, Kenneth, how you doing?
Hi, Darren. Nice to see you again. How you been?
Good to see you again too. Thanks for sitting down with us today. Kenneth, for people who don't know you yet, can you tell us how did you get into trading and what markets are you in? What's your story?
Yeah, so I started trading. Well, I did I placed one trade in college, right? Like shortly after college, and it did really well. I bought it at 25 cents. I had 3,000 shares and sold around $13. And I was overseas at the time, and that allowed me to spend more time as a volunteer overseas. And as soon as I got back from that trip, I wanted to become a trader. So I ended up in on Wall Street working for a firm that I think you and I were both at actually at one point in time, not at the same time, but and then just fell in love with the markets. From there, I switched over to a hedge fund as an analyst and doing more short side um, trading and analysis, looking for companies that were failing or going to fail and stuff like that, and looking for the negatives, as it talks about in our Trade Quest course, so. And then the other guy would look for the positives about the stock, and I'm like, dude, it's going down. So, but I'd already met you guys, Morpheus Trading, and so I applied technical analysis to the fundamental analysis, and so we did really well. And about 8 years ago, I switched to futures market. I only trade ES up until about 6 months ago, and I added gold to the mix of things. So I'm only looking at two markets, S&P 500 and gold. And yeah, so
So you said you switched to futures about 8 years ago. What happened when you switched to futures?
it was a completely new learning curve. Everything I thought I knew was gone, right? All the fundamental analysis didn't matter anymore. I wasn't losing, I didn't have to rebuild my account. So I kind of, I'd break even, or 1 year I'd be down a little bit. And when I say a little, like 5 to 10,000. So it wasn't a heck of a lot of money. Um, and then go up, and I'd be up 5 grand or something, and just kind of zigzag across the horizontal. I was channeling, right? If you look
Spinning
at a
spinning your
stock,
wheels, huh?
yeah, spinning my wheels, and also just I was in a channel. If you look at a stock chart, and you know what it looks like when it's in a channel, so going sideways.
Right.
And I knew I needed something to, number one, because I hadn't failed completely. I knew I had something that I could get become successful at eventually. And I felt like all of it that I needed was psychological.
Mhm.
So
So you had the knowledge and the pedigree, and you had the Wall Street experience. So, what do you think was actually going wrong that you were spinning your wheels? You mentioned psychology. Can you tell us more about that?
yeah, so to get the success that I really wanted, I didn't feel like I deserved it.
Mhm.
Deep down inside. And that was causing me a problem for achieving the success that I really wanted to see, and for myself and for my family.
I see. Okay. Well, was there a point during those 8 years where you seriously thought about walking away from futures or trading altogether?
No, not at all.
So you
I
you,
love
you
the
knew
market.
you were on the verge. You just needed to figure out the psychology, huh?
Yeah, there had to be something going on, something available, or to change my mentality. I didn't know what it was. And then one night, if I might cut into this, um, I saw an advertisement for Trade Quest. So, and as soon as I saw it, I watched one of the introduction videos, I immediately bought it. I may even be the first person. I don't know. I was super close for sure. And I've been monitoring, Morpheus trading for over 20 years, and I know the success that you guys have had. Um, and you know, so I knew the fundamentals, I knew the technicals. But what was it that Morpheus was able to do over the last 20 years to be successful, to eliminate emotion, eliminate psychological barriers, and uh, all of a sudden TradeQuest was going to provide that. At least I hoped it was.
Okay, gotcha. So, well, you've talked before with me about April 9th, 2025 being a big turning point for you in your career. Take us back to that day. What happened? Why was that day so important, and what happened after that?
Yeah, so I started TradeQuest like Thanksgiving of 2024, and I was doing pretty well, and I was going through the lessons as quickly as I possibly could. The first beginning lessons, we were talking about, you know, how to write a plan, um, which really helped me as well to solidify what my trading plan was. Because, you know, okay, well, maybe I need to look at this, or maybe I need to look at, you know, volume profile, or maybe I need to look at the, you know, relative strength indicator or something. So, um, you know, sometimes I'd flip flop around that kind of stuff or whatever. And then, so writing out the plan really helped. And then, I was still placing trades, not near as many as I was before TradeQuest, a lot fewer trades, partly because I wanted to find out, you know, and learn more before I did jump back in, you know, fully trading the market. I knew that day trading was not for me, and I knew that swing trading with futures market was going to be providing me with the income that I really wanted, based on my experience from seeing other very successful futures traders. They swing traded them. They didn't, you know, try to day trade it at all. And so I placed a few trades, and again I was like up and down, and then down a little bit more, and I'm like, I don't know, April 9th, I was I was down to 40,000 in my account from 60K or something. And I was talking to my wife, and she's like, look, you're taking this course. Um, you're not a kid. Don't be a child in your head. Do the plan and trust yourself. I've seen you make really good trades. And so I made a decision that day. You know, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to be following my plan. I'm going to be aware of the market more, of what's going on. I'm aware of myself while I'm trading. That's a huge component of it. And um, I ended up going like, I don't know, 8 or 9 months without a single loss. So maybe two or three losses, or two or three losing days in like 9 months. So
That's fantastic. That's great to hear. Well, April 9th, 2025. I mean, you said before that you always felt as if you were not worthy of it, right? Did something change in your head that day that made you think differently because of what you learned perhaps in TradeQuest?
yeah, the just in TradeQuest, and then we hadn't gotten to the psychological parts of it yet, but just the discipline of sticking to your plan was the big thing.
Mhm.
Just some days I'd, you know, oh, I know I'm gonna be right. I know I'm gonna be right. Well, it's going against me the whole time.
You're wrong.
Right? I'm like,
Right.
but I was right when I know it's going up. It's not going down. So
Smarter than the
I know there's
market.
a
Yeah,
lot of
we've all
people.
been there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it'll come back. It'll come back. Um, and just, but that's a psychological thing. It's probably, yeah, it might come back, but you need to take your loss quickly. You need to take your loss quickly and uh, continue on. And it's you know, there's a mathematics of a loss. You know, 10% loss, you have to make back 11% or something, and you know, 50% loss, you have to make back 100%. So it's exponential the more you lose. And so just stop, you know, something in my head, to stop taking those big losses, and you'll be okay. Because I always had winning trades,
Mhm,
you know, pretty decent sized.
mhm. The
So the
average.
mathematics of it, I had to stop taking really large losses.
Right. So you had to make sure your risk reward was in line and that your average winner was
Yeah.
larger than your average loser, perhaps. So
Yeah.
it sounds like not only the psychology, but the discipline was the big turning point for you. Something clicked in your head and said, I need to discipline. So when you say
Well, to me, that was the discipline was also psychological
okay.
because I didn't feel like I deserved it to
Mm-hmm.
be gaining on big wins. So I would psychological sabotage myself
Mm,
and take a loss, a bigger loss. When if I take a loss of 1%, for example, with the futures market, there's no hold on your liquidity in your account, so it's cleared immediately. There's not a 3-day hold like there is for stocks, so I can get right back in immediately if I need to, reevaluate and jump back in. So take the 1% loss, reevaluate, see if it's still valid in the direction you thought it was, or is it vice versa, or don't trade until the next day or later on in the day, and then go for it from there.
okay. So definitely the discipline and the psychology of the discipline is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is the key. So but what does that actually mean in practice? Could you give us a specific example of how you trade differently now versus, let's say, 2 years ago? What can you think of one example where that discipline and that psychology training really changed the way that you approach things?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I mentioned that I trade a lot less than I used to. I might trade like 2 or 3 times a week at the most. When the market opens, I'll watch it a lot longer.
Hmm.
If I have the urge, to jump in, I can feel that in
Hmm.
myself, and I started scaling in. I'm like, okay, let's see, because inevitably, you get in, all of a sudden it's down, it's against you, right? It's like, what,
Right,
what did
right,
that mean?
right,
But
right.
so and that happened. I would say that happens like 95% of the time. So I just jump in with 2 or 3 contracts, and if it goes against me to my stop, which is usually no more than 10 points, maybe buy again, 10 to 15 points based on how the market moves. And I would buy a couple of more. So now all of a sudden I'm only 7 points out of the money, and I'm only down like, barely 1%. So if it starts going in my direction, jump out, and maybe I make a gain, maybe I have a couple $100 loss, but something that's super manageable, right?
Mhm.
And then, or if it keeps on going up, take the profit on half of it, and then now I'm only 0.5% down. And if it keeps on going, you know take some profit again, and or add to the position, which is what I wanted to do in the first place, to build a position up to like 8 contracts, and then let it ride, put my stop at break even, take profit along the way, so no matter what, I'll cover any expenses, and then end up making profit for the day. So I'm a lot more calm about looking at the market. I'm a lot more patient, watching for my perfect entry, and and then once I see my perfect entry, letting it do its little thing where it goes against me, and which actually has been allowing me to get in even better perfect entry. The greedy entry, I like to call
Right,
it now. So,
right. Okay. So
yeah.
that's great. I hear that, what I'm really hearing is that the psychology and discipline was the big thing. But would you say there was a time where, a stretch where maybe you were testing whether this new mindset would actually hold up, or was it instant? Or you took some time basically to get to that point, right?
Well, no, that's the thing.
Or
It
was it
was,
instant?
I mean, it
April
did
9th.
take some time, but April 9th, everything just started clicking.
Okay.
And so, yeah, maybe it took 6 months or whatever, November through April, but um, yeah, it just started clicking. And then, yeah, occasionally, I'd have some smaller down days, but again, they were manageable, and I could usually finish profitable for that day.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, I'd like it. Success did not happen overnight.
Right.
It
Exactly.
grew.
All those days that you had over the past 8 years trading futures, they were all part of the training to get to the point you're at now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
It's like going to the gym. You don't go in and, you know, deadlift 300 pounds the first day. You start with the bar 45, and then incrementally increase by 5 pounds or something, right? So, um, yeah,
So
it was definitely a long trading period as far as that goes, but I'm much better at letting the market do its thing without me, which I like to call JOMO, joy of missing out.
Okay.
So I try to practice that. Even today, I practice that.
Break
Took
that.
profit.
Why don't you break that down for someone who's never heard that? Can you tell us what JOMO means? That's kind of your term you've coined, which I think is pretty cool.
I didn't coin it. There's some people that use it, other traders, but
Okay.
the joy of missing out. So let's say you get in and you take profits too early and the thing just runs like crazy, which happened to me today on ES. I bought at, you know, basically the low of the uh, regular trading hours, and my stop was only 2 points away. It went out, it went up, I took profit, came back down and took me out. I got back in, took profit again. I'm like, okay, it's probably going to channel today. There were some signals that the market wasn't um, decisive. And then all of a sudden it just ran 50 points. And I'm like, I was looking for a way to get in. I was looking for a pullback, but there wasn't a single red bar the entire way. I was just like, what in the world, right? So I'm like, JOMO, be JOMO.
Exactly. So be happy you missed out because you're not chasing. You're not skewing the math. In other words, that's a big
Exactly.
turning point in your head, right? Not
Yeah,
you're not
because
over
as soon
trading.
as you yeah, as soon as you do, you're ended up buying the top every single time.
Yeah, don't
So
chase.
that's why JOMO is the most important. Be
Right. You feel good.
JOMO.
Feel good. It's a mindset shift to feel good about when you miss a trade because you know there's always another opportunity
Yeah.
right across the street. Right. Now,
Well, and it prevents me from doing something stupid like buying the top, which
right.
inevitably happens. So
Gotcha. Well, now, Kenneth, if someone watching this is stuck in that same cycle you were stuck in, for example, they know what to do, but they just can't execute and they're spinning their wheels, what are the first two or three things you'd tell them to change starting tomorrow? Like right away, what are some actionable things they could do right now?
yeah, take a step back, analyze, see what you see,
Okay.
and watching the market, and then come back in slowly. If you're having problems, start at two contracts for like or whatever, 100 shares or something like that, and like a quarter of the normal position that you would normally take, and then build back up slowly if you have to. Like with the futures market, I didn't even have to build up. I kept trading half size. Um, I went down to quarter size, two contracts, and then I went back to four, which was half size, and I haven't had to uh, increase it back to my normal size. At the time, like in December, I was trading up to 10 contracts of ES and four contracts of gold, um, and yeah. So those three things, I think you'll be all right. And
It's interesting that you said about you stopped trading and you took a step back, and when you got back in the market, you got in with smaller size because I know that that's pretty much the opposite of what a lot of newer traders do. If they dig a hole, they trade more and bigger size to try to make it back, and of course, that's the often the kiss of death. You
yeah,
just can't dig out of a hole. So you got your psychology right to put on the brakes and say, wait a minute, let me reassess here. Now you trade exclusively, the ES S&P 500 futures and gold. And you said that you've told me in the past, one of the advantages you like is that you only have to analyze, one or two charts versus scanning for lots of stocks. So can you walk us through what your actual trading day looks like now? How do you trade? What is are you using a computer? You have a big setup. What's your trading day look like?
yeah. I actually have a really amazing setup. It's just one screen. I don't know if you can see that
Oh,
because of the background.
yeah, we see a phone, the
It's
chart
a
rack.
phone. I do everything on my phone. I have my broker account on the phone app, and then I have TradingView on the app, uh, phone app on my phone, and that's all I use. So I just glance at it. Where are we at in the levels and the moving averages. I'm looking for a perfect stack. If you the 8, the 20, and the 50. We're I don't care which direction it's going. It can be down or up. I can do a perfect stack downwards. Those are more fun for me, actually.
Mhm.
um, and then yeah, so that's about it. Like I said, I'm only trading probably 2 or 3 times a week, just glancing at my phone, seeing where we're at, what's going on with the behavior, and then the crowd behavior, and then putting in stop limits or or buy stop limits or sell stop limits, and getting in at my levels.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that it's a really simple methodology, simple approach. You know, you basically put in your buy stops to get in the trade, so you don't have to be watching the market all the time. If you already know
Um,
this is a setup, you know, and you set your stop in advance with a bracket order, right? So you know that if you get in, you're in, and that's really interesting because I think a lot of traders think they need to be watching the market all the time, and you've proven that you can swing trade, you can hold down a day job. I know that during the day you're quite busy as well, so it's great to see that you've found a way to really fit it into your lifestyle. It's one of the benefits of being
yeah,
a trader.
yeah, and that's what I liked about swing trading the whole time too. Is it doesn't take you don't have to do it as a full-time job.
Right.
So I do have a full-time job, and then also I run a nonprofit on the side, and evenings and weekends sometimes help out with that. And so um, I I trade better by not. I'm more successful. I'm up like 460% right now, and since April 9th, and the last month I'm up 29-30%. This month alone I'm up 18%. So you can you can do better swing trading than you can day trading every single time. The
Mhm.
cost of day trading will eat you alive.
Yeah, mentally you burn out too. I
That
started out
too,
I started
yeah,
out as a day trader too, and that's why I figured out swing trading is the way to go long term for longevity. You know.
yeah,
So
totally.
how do you decide, Kenneth, when not to trade? Because it seems like a bigger part of your edge is when you don't trade versus when you actually are trading. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when I'm watching the market and seeing what's going on, if we stay in the range, the first 5 minutes of the trading day when New York opens, 9:30 Eastern, if we're in the first 5 minute range, that's typically a sign that things may not move very well that day. If we're on a daily chart, if we're on an inside bar, that's not going to be a good day to trade.
Mhm.
It's just going to be channeling and inside those limits of the previous day. And if it breaks out above it, that's good, or below. But those are days that you need to determine. For me, I need to determine very quickly, this is an inside day or this is channeling. Don't touch it.
Mm.
And you have to observe it for a while, even up to an hour. Sometimes I observe from the open and just, okay, that's we haven't gone anywhere. Just close the phone and go back to work or whatever. And um, if it starts to break out, then maybe get something later in the day, but or after lunchtime.
I often tell students and other traders I meet that the most successful traders I know tend to be out of the market more than they're in the market. It seems like you're confirming that as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's knowing when to not trade is probably more important than knowing when to trade.
Wait for all the elements to line up and then step on the gas pedal, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, now, Kenneth, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something that most traders won't discuss publicly. You had a rough February, right? Can you walk us through what happened?
Yeah, so the first week of February, I was placing some trades. I had a pretty good January, and uh, it was just I got in a trade with gold, and it just slammed down. I was long. I'm like, we're making new highs at 5,700, and it just slammed down 300 points, and I got caught, in the first 50 of it. A few days later, I tried it again, and again it slammed. I don't know which direction after that one, but it it was pretty bad. I think it dropped over 1,000 points that first week or something, um, and I just got caught in it. And the liquidity was also an issue. My stops didn't get filled where I'd hoped they got filled. I don't never first of all never use a stop limit to
Hmm.
get out. Always use a stop market, so at least you do get filled.
Hmm.
And yeah, I ended up down 10% the first week, and I was ah. It's not fun to tell your accountability partner or your wife that, hey, I just lost
I can
10%.
relate.
Yeah.
Well, so you were down 10% the first week of February. Now, a lot of traders, they spiral out of control at that point. They start to revenge trade, they double down, they panic. and dig a deeper hole. So what did you actually do at this point? You kind of mentioned earlier you took a step back, and you just anything else you wanted to add in there? What did you do to help maybe either change what you were doing to dig out of that hole? Because you recovered pretty quickly in March.
Yeah, I recovered the first week of March. So,
Okay, tell us about
but
that.
the biggest thing I did was just stop trading, and I didn't dwell on the fact, oh my God, I can't believe I lost that money. Oh my God, I
Hmm.
didn't beat myself up.
Hmm.
You know, what happened? Look at the market very quickly. We're taught in Trade Quest to 30 seconds to evaluate it and see what happened. And I probably took a little bit longer than that, but were there signals that I missed? Volume, what was it that dropped? And because the news was like, oh, they're gonna start doing some changes in a week later. Well, clearly all the institutions started a week earlier.
Hmm. Right.
So, and I got caught in that. I'm like, oh my God, it would have been a beautiful trade if I was on the other side. But just don't dwell on it. Take a step back completely. Um, I don't even know if I watched the market for a few days after that. I may have, I think I watched ES. I switched markets, and then see something that's more calm, and even then I didn't trade ES either. I didn't trade at all for several weeks.
Well, if someone watching this right now is in the middle of a drawdown, kind of like you were, what do you think might be? You've said what your advice would be, but what do you think might be the biggest mistake they're making right now? What do you think they might be doing wrong?
Trying to recover quickly.
Okay.
That's probably the mistake. I've done that in the past, and um, time is on your side. The longer you wait, you're going to be more clear-headed,
Market's not going
level.
away. It'll be there tomorrow, right?
Yeah, the market's not going away. So, you need to come back with fresh eyes and a better sensation of how you feel inside for yourself. Make sure you're completely washed away that incident from your thinking,
Mhm.
and just come back and analyze the market separately.
I think that what I'm hearing throughout this discussion, Kenneth, is that self-awareness seems to be the key. Like taking the time to stop and think: Am I following my plan? Am I over trading? Am I doing the right thing? And I think for a lot of traders, especially when they're new, they just want to get in there, start trading, 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 and that's an afterthought, self-awareness. But I think you've proven that self-awareness really is key. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it absolutely is key for my trading. In fact, just a few days ago, I was getting in, and I went back up to 8 contracts, which I hadn't done in over a month or something, and I started feeling nervous, like a rapid heartbeat and a little sweaty, and I caught it really quickly. And I was like, "What is going on? Why this is so weird." Like I had no problem trading 8 to 10 contracts.
Hmm.
Why all of a sudden am I nervous about it?
Hmm.
And it was going in my favor too. So I took 2 off immediately, to lock in a little bit of profit,
Hmm.
and then moved my stop to break even. Um, and as soon as I did that, it I'm like, calm me down. So um if the market is moving crazily and rapid fast, that can have an effect too if you're not aware of what's going on inside yourself, and cause you to do really bad mistakes. And that was the thing. I caught myself feeling like that and stopped it immediately. And like I said, I covered a couple of them to lower my position size and get something more manageable for my current state of being.
Okay, great. Well, you've told me also, Kenneth, that trading is fun for you now. You said that it actually feels good and it's fun. What does your life look like day to day compared to, let's say, 2 years ago?
Yeah, um I'm a lot more calm in other things too. I'm
Okay.
more aware. I try to observe a lot more like I do in trading, observe the markets before placing a trade. I'll observe other situations that I'm in socially or at work, and thinking a lot more before entering
Hmm.
the discussion, or whatever. How's the person feeling that I'm interacting with, on the job. I'm in the service industry, so I need to see where they're at. I can't come in and be all happy, cheery, you know, let's go. And they're just like depressed or whatever, or not ready for that, or they're coming in mad, you know, so I might need to calm it down and then slowly bring it back up and or whatever. So it's been really helpful. Even my wife has noticed a difference too. I'm more
Oh yeah.
confident in a lot of situations. So it's good.
That's great. Sounds like so there's been a transformation not only in your trading, but some of that's carried over to your personal life, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that was the case for me too. When I started developing the trade what you see, not what you think methodology, which is our
Mhm.
mantra, I noticed it carried over to my personal life too. I used to worry a lot more about things I couldn't control in the future, and I learned to kind of live in the present. What do I see? What's
Yeah.
happening right now? What's in front of me in my life? What's in front of me on the chart? And there really is a correlation there, which is really interesting. As you get more advanced, you start to see that. Now, Kenneth, you're also teaching inside of the futures trading circle in our MTG Tribe community platform. That's where people come and and you post and you share your trade ideas and exactly what you're doing. What would you say you're seeing from the traders you're working with in there? Have you noticed any type of interaction where anything that you feel that you could give advice to, let's say, a new trader that's following you in that circle?
Yeah, the first thing I'm trying to do in there is eliminate the 8 years of hard work that I went through and mistakes,
Hmm.
you know, so that they don't have to go through that. I'm trying to pass on my knowledge that I've learned and the hard knocks that I went through to hopefully they can avoid that.
That's fantastic. Well, last question I have for you, Kenneth, is if you could go back in time and tell yourself just one thing when you first started trading, knowing what you know now, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to say two things. Number one, buy and hold Berkshire Hathaway. You know, when
Good
TQQQ
advice.
came out, T triple Q, buy and hold that, right? So, I mean, those things never go down. I wish I could have told myself, be more prepared and, you know, learn a process that you can solidify and jump in slightly slower.
Right. Okay.
Because
Gotcha.
in the beginning, I blew up accounts 2 or 3 times the first year. I mean, they weren't big accounts; they were only $5,000 with with the chop shops that we were at on Wall Street. But still, you know, when
School
you're
of
a
hard knocks.
kid,
That's
that's a
how
lot
we
of
learn,
money.
right?
Yeah, it's not a very good way, but yeah, it's how we learn.
Okay, that's fantastic. And well, look at you now. You went from blowing up a few small accounts to now you're up over 400% in less than a year. And more importantly, you've now got a methodology and a framework for recovering when you do have a drawdown. You drew down 10% in February and right
Yeah,
back beginning of March, which is fantastic. Kenneth, I want to thank you for sitting down with us today. It's really been great to talk to you and get to find out about your journey, your trading journey. And for those of you that would like to follow Kenneth and even talk to him directly, you can do so by joining our free MTG Tribe community. Just go to academy.morpheustrading.com and just drop your name and email there. That'll get you in the community. And once you're in the community, just look for the Futures Trading Circle and you'll see Kenneth in there. And he shares his posts every day and it's completely free. So stop in and say hi to Kenneth. Thanks a lot for your time, Kenneth, and wishing you well in your trading.
yeah. Feel free to ask me any questions in the circle, and I'll see you in class on Sunday nights.
All right. Thank you, Kenneth.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. She's like, look, you're taking this course. You're not a kid. Don't be a child in your head. Do the plan and trust yourself. I've seen you make really good trades. You know, knowing when to not trade is probably more important than knowing when to trade.